being curious, solve many mysteries, and create various technologies. Humans continue to evolve, build ourselves and our surroundings in their ways, collaborate with different expertise to bring novelties. Postgraduate programs of ITS, a place where research and innovation open our future.
Institute of Technology 10 November is one of the best higher education institutions in Indonesia that accommodates many fields of knowledge for the development of science and technology, contributing to the advancement of industry and society. ITS offers many master and doctoral programs that facilitate students as early career researchers to deepen their expertise. As a higher education institution with a research orientation, ITS is committed to providing the best learning experience and atmosphere for all students to become expert in their field.
There are many ways for us to learn. We get to know the world we live in more closely by looking around. It helps us to grow our curiosity.
ITS is the best place for us to explore things we are interested in, such as science, management, information technology, and maritime engineering. ITS is facilitated with sophisticated laboratories and research equipment for various research projects. In ITS, we are able to express our idea and transform ourselves to be an expert.
There are many things that we can do to develop ourselves. Confidence to start is needed to transform the idea into real things. We can explore further through the technology around us. Also, we can improve ourselves to become better individuals.
ITAs gave us the opportunity to expand our connections with people from other countries. Besides being able to deepen our knowledge, we made friends with various backgrounds. We were able to exchange ideas and discuss the topics we researched together. We also got assistance from competent experts in fields that match our research topics, helping us to achieve an objective research with validated data.
There are many goals that we can achieve. Let us show who we are and discover the things that we have been looking for in life.
ITS is one of the points where we start a profession that has more impact on society. Many experiments we do to better understand the problems we want to solve. We explore things that are very useful in managing a realities industry. So we are very motivated to have a hand in bringing about change for the better.
There are many paths where we can walk together. Even if not all ways are easy, there will be times when we can achieve our goals. The goals for us who keep curious. For us who want to innovate. For us who continue to evolve. Postgraduate programs of ITS. World-class research university.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we start commence the program,
And here are the following webinar protocol. For each participant ID, please use your real name following with your origin of institution. All of participants are expected to mute the audio and only unmute the video during the event. We cordially invite you to take your own firm and comfort seat in your own room, and please avoid the backlight. Make sure that you have a good and stable internet connection. If you have an earphone or headset, we recommend you to use it so that your voice can clearly and loudly to be heard. During the Q&A discussion session, all participants, please use the chat box to deliver the questions. Thank you for your cooperation and consideration.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining our event today, Researcher and Research Student Enrichment Program for Soft Engineering Stream, or usually we call it by R2SEP. Before we start our agenda today, I will read out the important information to all attendants. First, please fill the attendance form on the provided link, which will be shared in the Zoom chat room by our committee. The link will be closed in 15 minutes. Second, please fill the feedback form, which will be shared in the Zoom chat room 15 minutes before the session ends, and it will be closed after 1 hour. Third, the attendance and feedbacks are compulsory for these purposes. First, attendance is mandatory for the new ITS, master, and doctoral students. Certificate of participation only eligible for international participants who have 60% of attendance or minimum 5 meetings. It is time for it, which is eligible for ITS undergraduate students only. A participant who wish to ask question during the Q&A session, please send your question at the provided link in the Zoom chat room, or alternatively, you may raise your hand during the Q&A session to ask your question directly. Or you can use the chat box here in the Zoom chat to ask question directly as well. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Researcher and Research Student Enrichment Program for Soft Engineering Stream. On today, Thursday, 18 November 2021, I am Dewi from ITS Postgraduate Office, and I will be your Master of Ceremony for this session. So before we start the session, allow me to inform you our today's agenda as follows. First is the opening by MC, continued by the introduction to the moderator and also the speaker. After that, we will get to the main agenda, the lecture session, then followed by the Q&A session, and it will be ended with the conclusion and closing. Again, I would like to remind you again to fill your attendance form, share through the provided link in the Zoom chat room, which will be closed in 15 minutes from now. Before moving to the next agenda, please allow me to elaborate about today's lecture. Today's lecture theme RESEP for soft engineering stream is about getting published, which will be delivered by our speaker, Associate Professor Ahmad Saiful Azlin Puteh Salim from University Technology Mara and Mr. Bahalwan Apriansyah MBA from ITS, who will be the one conducting our today's session as our moderator. Let me introduce you to our moderator today. Our moderator today, Mr. Bahalwan Apriansyah MBA, or we can call him Mr. Rian, is graduated from ITS with a Bachelor of Engineering in Industrial Engineering and from National Cheng Kung University with the Master of Business Administration in Taiwan. Currently, he is a lecturer and also a researcher in the Department of Business Management ITS. His research interests are in cultural branding, digital business, international marketing and business, and entrepreneurship. So without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda. To Mr. Rian, as our moderator, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Dewi Sartika. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Nama Budaya, and thank you so much for opportunity that are given to me for the today's we are gonna have and also for the audiences. I know the audience coming from the master student, also the PhD student. So today's lecture, today's sessions will be highlighted how getting published, as mentioning by the moderator. Okay, I would like to read first the speaker today, Associate Professor Dr. Ahmad Saiful Azlin Puteh Salim from University Technology Malaysia. He is associate and his research interests about the financial accounting, soft engineer, sustainability, public.
Okay.
It stops.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
The connection?
Yes, I think it's the connection. So I think we need to wait for him for a little bit. Is that okay?
Okay, Bu Dewi, sorry for unstable bandwidth. So let me continue again for the interest for Prof. Ahmad. Yeah, tax and public sector accounting is becoming also one of the research interests, and also small medium enterprises or SMSE. So I think Prof. Ahmad and me have some similarity in certain research interests. Okay, I would like to invite Associate Professor Ahmad Saiful. Say hello.
Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon. Can you hear me loud and clear, please?
Yeah, We got it.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay.
Bahalwan, and also the organizer from the Institute Technology, 10 November, Surabaya. Okay, it's such an
Okay.
honor to invite me to
Okay.
become a speaker in one of the program. RESEP, is it RESEP, is it right? Researcher and Research Student Enrichment Program. Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. So before I start, maybe I can share my screen first.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, please allow me to share my screen.
Okay, Prof. Ahmad, times and screen is yours. It's about 1 hour and followed by question and answer session. Thank you. The time is yours.
Okay, right. Okay, all right. All right, can you see my slide right now?
Yes, we can see your slide right now.
Yes, we can see your slides.
Can see.
Okay, right now. Let me use as a full view. Okay, can you see my slide right now?
Yes.
All right. Okay, right. Thank you very much, organizer. Yeah. Okay, right. Just a little bit about myself. Academic life for about 15 years. So far, I managed to publish about more than 80% publication, which is 37 of that is from the in-depth publication. And Alhamdulillah, in terms of invention and innovation, I managed to won several medals in Malaysia, all right, and then won 1 Prime Awards. In terms of research grant, I managed to won about 400,000 RM Malaysia for the research grant, and so in terms of consultancy, about the 300,000 with the industry. And then in terms of the academic awards, become reviewers for about the 30 Scopus and Web of Science Index journal, right? So if you Google my name, this is my profile in Scopus and also in the Web of Science. So Alhamdulillah, I pray to God, not only me, but all of us, okay, all right, able to publish more and more in the Web of Science and also in the Scopus. I think because this is the future, right? People are asking you about how many papers that you are able to publish in index papers. So for all the audience today that I understand is come from the various backgrounds, from the postgraduate student, undergraduate student, and also the academician, not only from the Institute Technology, 10 November, but also from the outside, okay, you need to develop your Scopus and Web of Science profile, right? Okay, Alhamdulillah, during my academic life, I managed to win 1 awards from the Emeralds. Actually, it's not a best paper, it's a second best paper, right? The highly commended award for this paper is a corporate governance and audited quality information evidence. So you just can Google that, the title of the paper, and then you can read the content of the paper, right? So my responsibility today, based on the outline as given by the organizer, is that I wish to share with you. Yeah, I love to use the word share. Share. Yeah, I learn from you also. If after this lecture, okay, you can provide some of opinion how to get published, right? Because we understand that this kind of publication is something that dynamic. Okay, nobody is a perfect. Even a professor also is not perfect. They publish paper, but quite many of time the paper is rejected. So we learn from each other. Okay, so my task today is to share with you some of the steps how to publish in the journal and conference proceedings. Okay, and then what are some the characteristics of the good academic paper, and then we're talking about the complete set of the paper. Start from the title, the abstract, the introduction, the literature review, methods, findings, and conclusion. And then not forgotten that, okay, after we finish preparing our paper, so which journal that we want to publish, which journal that we want to select. So because you have to remember that a different journal, they have a different scope. If you have a very good paper, if you submit to the wrong scope, okay, surely your paper will be rejected, right? There is a sure guarantee. Right, and then last one is how you dealing with the revision, and least for not least is that how to deal with the rejection. If you want to become a successful researcher, rejection is part of our life. You cannot run away from that, right? So what is make a difference between journal and conference proceeding? I'm sure that many of you may know, but just to recap, okay, what make a difference between journal and conference proceeding? So journal is the periodical publication that focus on a certain discipline, right? In terms of number, we can say that there is 100,000 journal in this world. Okay, right? Not only in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Western country, in the US, in the UK, in Europe, there are so many journals, okay, that focus on the certain discipline. What make a difference between journal and conference proceeding mostly is that it contains a number of peer review papers that are considered credible, right? Because if we want to push further up, because we think about journal and also the index journal, so the quality of the index journal is higher because they will hire only a credible reviewer, okay, that can improvise the paper, then make sure that the paper pass certain quality characteristic. And then, of course, a very good sources to cite. But what is different with the conference proceeding? So basically, we're talking about conference proceeding is a publication from the proceeding. It is shorter, okay, it's a limited pages. Maybe normally it's about 5 to 10 pages. But what makes a difference between conference proceeding and journal is that normally people go to conference to publish their findings. That is very current. Okay, for example, right now we're talking about the pandemic, right, COVID-19. So as part of people just publish to the journal, they also present their findings in the conference proceeding with the hoping that they want to disseminate all the findings and then to get the feedback. Okay, to get the feedback from the prominent scholars that attended in the conference, so that from the feedback they can improvise the findings, then can after that publish the revised finding in a journal. So basically, the ideal is that, okay, you prepare the paper, submit to the conference, okay, get the feedback, improvise the paper, and then after that, you publish to the journal. Okay, right? So basically, when we're talking about the paper publishing process, so this is normally is the process. I just take it from the internet side, because you have to understand that when we're talking about how to publish paper, there is thousands of the references or sources of the info that you can grasp on. So basically, the process is same, all right? So after you complete your research and then you prepare the manuscript, which we will discuss today in quite details, and then you submit the manuscript. Okay, I will give you some tips how to choose the right journal. And then after you submit the manuscript will get review. Okay, so this is the hardest part lah, right? You can simply get rejected. Yeah, we call it as an outright rejection. Normally because maybe the quality is not up to the standard, or maybe like I say just now is that the scope is different. Scope is different. Maybe you are talking about that something that information technology about the drone, right? But you submit your paper to the business. So of course, people in the business do not know anything about the drone, and then they reject the paper. All right. So it is different scope. Okay, manuscript get review. Normally the review may take about I can say the max is 6 months lah. The max is 6 months. If you say that if you are unable to get the answer from 6 months, you need to write a letter or a short message, email to the editor, right? Asking what status of paper. If let's say that it's still under revision, no answer, then you should withdraw the paper. Okay, and then after that you get the decision. The decision can be both. Okay, it can be the accepted without correction, which is very hard to get. Normally, people will get accepted with minor correction or the major correction, and then the hardest one is the rejection, right? So maybe we will discuss after this a little bit of process, yeah, how to deal with all that kind of the decision. Okay, so as a novice researcher, if I throw back last 15 years, when I also like you, the postgraduate students do not know anything about the publication, okay, still confusing, all right, what is journal, what is a conference proceeding. So this is some of the repository. We're talking about the good, well-known repository of the publisher. It's a good start for you to write the paper. Meaning that there are thousands of the good repository of the publisher. Okay, for example, the Sign Directs, the Emerald, the Tele and Francis Stage. You just go to the feed that you interested. You read and read and read the paper. Okay, get some of the idea. You digest about the formatting. Okay, about the direction of the paper, and then after that, you got a feeling how to prepare the manuscript. Don't prepare your manuscript blindly. Okay, of course, for the Sign Directs, their formatting is different with the Emerald, and the Emerald, the direction is different with the Taylor and Francis, right? All right. You also can search to the other reported publishers, the Routledge, Springer, Blackwell. You just Google. The most important is that if you've got a time, we may discuss at the end of the session is that to avoid all that we call now as a predatory journals. Well, predatory journal is that journal that do not interested with the quality of the paper, but they only interested with your money. Okay, of course. When we publish, there are certain publication that charge fees, okay, because they have to pay some cost of the publication. Some journals are free, okay, because when the reader want to subscribe or want to read about the paper, they have to pay. But there are some publisher, what is called the predatory publisher, they're just interested to take your money, okay, right? So be aware with that. Other than predatory publisher, and it's okay for you, all right? Especially if that journal is published from a university. So inshallah, the quality is good and okay, right? Okay, let me start with the some of the serious matters. So what are the some general rules in writing? What are some general rules in writing? When we're talking about the publication in journal or conference proceeding, even though let's say that you want to publish in a journal located in Indonesia, or you want to present your paper in Indonesia, try to write for the international audience. So meaning that from the international perspective. Let's say that if you want to talk something about Indonesia, just a little bit briefly explain about the Indonesia. Let's say that you're talking about the technology in Indonesia, right? So you just try about the origin. So people will know, like me in Malaysia, I do not know anything about the technology in Indonesia. So write a little bit about the technology in Indonesia. Just don't simply focus, right? So that's why I call it international audience. You also need to have a balance of the sufficient prior knowledge and what you want to write in the future, right? So just this is the problem with the novice researcher, whereby they just only cut and paste the literature review without criticizing, without paraphrasing, or without giving an idea about how that literature review can be adopted in the context of your paper, all right? And then write in the context of the culture in the country. For example, if they say that you are from Indonesia, so then you can be about inject the element of culture about the technology in Indonesia. Okay, clear and straightforward. You have to remember that we are not writing a book or novel, the love novel. So be clear, straightforward. Use a simple words that people want to understand. People, because they are scientists, okay, the reader are scientists, we are the researcher, so we are not very interested in the unnecessary details, right? Avoid too much jargon, and then make sure that your paper is clean from the grammatical errors, and of course need to follow all the formatting to the journal or the proceedings that you want to publish, right? Okay, so now we start on the manuscript preparation. This first one is about the title. Okay, the title is something that on the first place, when the reader or when the reviewer want to review your paper, they will read this one. So make sure that your title is attractive, short, and representing the article, right? Don't write something that too long that make people confused. Okay, normally the typical one you should have about the element of the independent variable, dependent variables, and also the sample in the title. Okay, as a novice researcher, but sometimes you can write if you got more experience, you can write something that more catchy. Okay, maybe a little bit provocative to attract the reader. But if you're just starting your life as an academic researcher, okay, you can use this kind of information, right? A little bit about the future direction of the research is that we are now appreciating the interdiscipline research. So meaning that if you are from the IT, so not necessarily you do the paper in the IT, try to combine with other area like engineering, like business, like maths, because now people are not work in silo. If you go outside, you work, people work in a team as a teamwork in the many units. So because of that, same in the research, right? The next one, we move to the second part. That is the abstract. We got a title, and then we have the abstract. So for the abstract, the most fundamental things that you need to have in the abstract is a 3P. The first one is the purpose, which is what is the purpose of the research of your paper. Second one is the procedure. We're talking about the research methodology. And then the third one is the principal findings, the 3P. This is the most important part. But actually for the certain journal, like for Emerald, they want you to include more. So you can based on the requirement of the journal, you can include more. Like the it's not nobility and novelty, the novelty of the paper, okay, and the significance of the study, and then what are the implications of your research, maybe to the policy, all right, to the business community, okay, to the community, to your country, and then what is the originality of your paper. So what make your paper is different with the rest of the paper, okay? Because when you were there, read the title, that is this, and then after that, they will read your abstract. So make sure that your abstract is again clean from the grammatical error. You just use either past simple or present simple tense, okay? No reference or citation. Normally, the abstract just include about 150 to 200 words. The maximum is 300 words. Okay, we are not writing the literature. We are writing the abstract, concise and compact. Right. Next one is the introduction. Okay. I understand from the RESEP program description, you already attended maybe the literature review, the common research methodology. So on this part, I will not emphasize so much on the content of the what you have learned before, right? So for the introduction, you need to give some background of the study, okay, that you can summarize concisely, and then there are quite a different style of how you can write the introduction. Okay, maybe you can talk about the top down from the broader to narrow view, or you can put your introduction a little bit on the what is the most important things that you have in your paper. Okay, mostly related with your dependent variable and how you want to explain the dependent variable, right? And then you can discuss a little bit about the result and the conclusion of the key result, meaning that the landmark result or the landmark study in your area that you want to emphasize. Don't put everything in the introduction. Okay, if you want write the tip, no, you put under the literature review. Okay, and then you should include the aim, okay, the objective of your study, and the research question. At least you need to put one research question, and then again you need to put what is the originality of your study. You need to emphasize in the introduction, okay, and then maybe you can add some more. Okay, what motivate you to write the paper, and then you justify, okay, how this can motivate the paper and how it will benefit the reader, and then you give a little bit description on the sample, not too much, because more writing will be put in the research methodology part, but here you can just mention what is the sample, and then what is the important or significant study of your sample to the scope of the study. All right. And then the last one, you can say about the benefit of your research, mean the impact. Okay, normally in my area, normally we emphasize on three. The first one is from the policymakers' point of view. The second one is the practitioner, and the third one is from the theoretical point of view. So at least minimum you should have three contribution or the benefit of your study to the reader, right? And then the next one is the literature review. Maybe this one is the most easiest part. for the novice researcher, but actually, it's not as easy as you expect, right? Because when we're talking about the literature review, it's not simply just take the previous paper or take the previous finding, just put everything in the literature review without contributing a new knowledge. So what you need to do actually is that you need to either find the similarity, okay, or find the contradiction, and then how your research or your finding is fit between the past research or past findings. That's why we do research. We do research because there is a gap. Okay, because there is a gap that's not covered in the previous literature review. So we fill in by doing the research. So you need to emphasize on this. What people have done in the past, but they don't have, or they do not do, what they should do, right? For example, let's say that, okay, maybe last time they do not, or they ignore certain sample. So you perform the similar research, but you use the different sample, right? Or maybe that research only conducted in the Western country, in the US, in the UK, in Europe, but nobody have tested the research, okay, the issue in Indonesia. So that will be your contribution, right? Okay, so your LR, the literature review, should be not too broad, okay, not too much, and not too narrow, okay, just a very balanced. In terms of writing, you can start with the global. For example, you're talking about the pandemic, the pandemic crisis. You can start with the global impact, and then you go to the region, the Asian country, South is the Asian country, and lastly is in Indonesia. So it's we're talking about the demographic or geographical, or in terms of the issues. Okay, we can start with something that very general. Okay, we're talking about the pandemic crisis. So what is the general impact of the pandemic crisis as overall, right? In different industry, in different sector. And then after that, you go to more specific. And then after that, you go to the more specific, your niche of area. So by doing this, actually people can digest actually from the helicopter point of view and how actually your paper will fit in the so many building blocks. You imagine the house, we are so many blocks, okay? So how your just a very single block will fill in the gap in the research, okay? For me as a reader and also a reviewer, I love to have a positive and negative literature, meaning that, especially let's say that if you want to come up with a hypothesis, don't write something hypothesis that I think is a little bit biased. A little bit biased in the sense of, even if you want to support the hypothesis, you just only write something that good about the hypothesis, all the positive tone. Try to include what kind of the literature or what kind of the findings that may not support your hypothesis. So I think that one is more independent, more interesting, and then I would say that you are not biased, right? Because we have to understand that when we do research, okay, we start with the independent in mind, okay? We do research, we do not know what is the findings. We can expect the findings, but we don't know what is the actual result. So when there is a positive, negative, and maybe no findings, so your research will become more interesting. Okay, the same thing when I read the paper, when I review the paper, let's say that the researcher have three hypotheses, right? Three hypotheses. I love to have the paper in which that 2 accepted, 1 rejected. You know why? Because that rejected part actually is your contribution. Okay, you expect like this, but it come out differently. So why is it happen? So that is your contribution. Rather than you do 3 hypotheses, all the hypothesis has been accepted. So I think is that the issue is too predictable. It's too easy, right? And the last one, don't forget to put the theory. Okay, don't forget to put the theory, because normally if you want to publish in a journal, especially if there is no theory, your paper will be rejected. Okay, theory is important in academic research because why? Theory will explain the phenomena. Okay, theory will explain the phenomena. It's not the phenomena explain the theory. Okay, you got the result, you got the findings, you do the research. Okay, how this can be explained by the theory. Okay, and make sure that you get a good theory, a well-prominent theory that can support your findings. So meaning that nobody can argue your findings, your paper. So far so good, Mr. Baharwan. Am I too fast?
Yeah, no, I think we're on the right track.
Okay, thank you very much. And then if you can read from a slide, there's only one theory, right? Because we are not writing a thesis. If a thesis, normally we got about 2 or 3 theory. For the PhD, normally 3 theory lah. 1 major theory and then 2 supporting theory. But for the journal, 1 theory is sufficient and good enough, right? And the next one is the research methodology. Okay, right. So this is the way actually you write and you explain to the reader and also to the reviewer the validity of your research, the process. Okay, maybe normally you write a lot of things, but maybe you wrongly select the sample. All right, the sample contain a biased sample, then your paper also can get rejected. So make sure that you properly explain your research methodology. I will not emphasize so much in this kind of the slide because I understand that you have topics on common research methodology in your field, but normally, okay, what you need to write in your paper, right? Method actually is a narrative step, okay, in which then when people read your paper, they can replicate the research process. At least they can imagine, okay, you do this is the first step, second step, third step, fourth step, and so on, okay? So when people want to reproduce the research, they can take your paper and they can perform the similar research. Okay, so because of that, you need to put a little bit about, for example, in terms of data, right? Data. If you say that you do the market survey, okay, you do the questionnaire, okay, how you prepare the question, okay, where you get the questions, how about the validity and credibility of the questions, who endorse your questions. Okay, make sure that your question is not double-barrel question. A lot of things, so a little bit, you make sure that you have to put this kind of information in your paper. In terms of sample, who is your sample? How you select the sample, and then how about you exclude maybe some of the sample that may are not appropriate for your study. Okay, this one talking about a market survey. Let's say that if you want to perform the qualitative methods, right, the interview. Okay, so who are the prominent respondent that you select? Why you select them? What is the interview protocol? The hardest thing about the qualitative paper is that the interview protocol is very important. Okay, when you interview the respondent, okay, how you take note, and then how you make sure that when you write down the findings or the raw material, it's not missing, okay, right? It's not added. And then the transcribing process, and then how you visualize, how you get the point of the findings from your respondent, okay, right? In terms of variables, okay, let's say that this one vertical the secondary data. If you let's say that you doing the archival analysis, this one is normal for the business and also in the accounting, okay, where you got your secondary data. Is it just simply from the annual report, for example? Let's say that, okay, of course you cannot study everything, especially in Malaysia, in which that the country is so big, so you need to exclude certain samples. Okay, make sure that the sample is not biased. Okay, how you take, let's say that the financial figures, okay, make sure the financial figure is properly calculated. All right, and then maybe the hardest part, quite the hardest part for people from the social science and business is the modeling part. Can, but if you're good in the mathematics and statistics, it's okay. But the modeling part should be correct, should be right, and then it is good if you can double check. Let's say that if you are not good in statistics, you check your modeling part with the statistician. So make sure that all that kind of so-called the condition of the model, okay, does not violate the fundamental statistical model, right? We're talking about relationship. If you say came about the regression, multiple regression, Now we have the PLS, structural equation modeling, and so many things. Okay, don't simply take whatever has been written in the previous paper in the literature and you put in your, maybe that kind of the what we so call the condition that need to be fulfilled is different, because your paper may do not have their condition that as per what you want to write. Okay, and then in terms of the estimation, the econometric test, okay, this is also part of my weaknesses. Normally I try to get the feedback from my friends, especially from the statistician, okay, to understand that whether my modeling is okay or not. Okay, for the higher level of the journal, we're talking about the impact factor, quarter 1, quarter 2 journal. Normally they want you to have additional tests, right? So for the simple journal, you just, let's say that you just perform one test, okay, that you got the findings and okay. But for a higher quality of journal, we're talking about, let's say, the quarter 1 and quarter 2 type of journal, they want you to perform the robustness test, meaning that the alternative test, if something is not workable. For example, in accounting, this is normal. It is normal that when you want to perform the regression or you want to perform the statistic, you use a different sets of measurement. For example, like performance, right? The performance, we can measure the performance of the company in terms of sales, the turnover, in terms of profit, maybe in terms of dividend, in terms of the performance in the stock market. So instead of just test in the one measurement, the profit, you also need to test based on the asset, for example, the size, everything. So with this kind of the test, the reviewer or reader can have a comfort saying that your research is robust and robust, and already cover something that may put a bias in terms of your findings, right? But do not perform too many tests. The robustness test actually is 1 or 2 is okay lah. Okay, 1, 2 okay. You just perform the test, put the table saying that our finding is robust to blah 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 blah, and saying that so there is no potential bias in terms of the as compared with the your primary model of the paper, right? I think for those that are already doing their PhD, they may understand this kind of things lah. Because like me myself last time, I have to perform a 3 or 4 robustness tests to make sure that okay, the findings is solid and can be supported in a different circumstances, right? Right. So next one is the result. Okay, is the result. So the result itself is the section when basically you write the result of your study. Okay. The only difference is that there are different school of thought. Okay, how you want to present your result and your finding. Some journals saying that result and finding is a different thing. Means that you have to have a different section. You write the result first, and then after that you have the finding. Certain journal is okay. You can combine in one section, meaning that you have the result, and after that also in the same section, okay, you can discuss your findings and result. So it's still okay. It's depend on the style of writing in a journal or the proceeding that you want to submit for. Okay, but normally what you want to have in your result, basically you can start with the demographic or responder. Let's say that if you your research actually is about the human, right? You select the sample people, you do the market survey, and the demographic profile of the respondent. All right. Don't put too much. So basically, let's say you have the gender and then age, and then the occupation, and then what you want to study, right? And then after that, you have also to put the descriptive statistic of the variables. Okay, like for example, that the mean, the median, the standard deviation. Okay, and then after that, then the most important part lah, the empirical analysis. Okay, you put your result, the econometrical or the statistical result in the table and analysis of the findings. Okay, try to be compact and concise as possible. Okay, that's why when you write the result, okay, make sure that your table do not have so many what we call the different class, right? Normally 4 is good, 4 or 5 is good. The different of the classes. Don't write so much on the even the 10 interval. The 10 interval is not good. 4 or 5 is good. You need to combine. You need to find a way in which that it is presentable. All right. And then in terms of modeling efficiency, okay, the diagnostic test, like I said before, okay, the research method you saying that you perform the robustness test, and then in here you also put the result, the robustness test, okay. You can quote some of the study and maybe that perform the similar test. And then most important is that please there is no repetition of table and figure in the text. So meaning that when you have a result, you just write the most important one. Okay, maybe you have the 5 or 6 result, 5 or 6 result. What is the most substance of your result? There may be 1, 2, or 3, the most substance one, and that kind of substance then you write in the little bit detail. Okay, for the minor result, you just stated as it is because it's not of our interest to read the minor findings. What is the major findings of your research? So of course, you do not write everything in the table in the text. That's why I say that, let's say that you have a 4 or 5 findings, right? The 2 or 3, the most important one that may actually impact your hypothesis. Okay, do not write everything. Same with the, for example, the descriptive statistic. Sometimes we just write only 2 or 3 sentences only. Everything the reader can refer to the table, right? Right, and then the next one, the findings. Okay, you can start writing your findings. We give a summary and emphasis on the major findings of your research. Okay, in the first paragraph. Okay, and then after that, you can explain in the brief details every findings that you have. Especially, let's say that you have the hypothesis, right? You have the hypothesis, and make sure that it's synchronized. Sorry, it's synchronized. How you write the hypothesis. Make sure you have a H1, H2, and H3. Okay, in your literature. Okay, and then in the research method also you put in order the test H1, H2, and H3. And then in the finding also, when you explain, you put H1, H2, and H3, right? So of course, normally the H1 is the most important one that you want to test. What is the major one? Okay, normally, okay, for the journal, you may have H1 and sub hypothesis H1, H1A, and H1B. So make sure that you put in order so people are not confusing. Okay, keep in synchronized. Okay, when you write the findings, right, make sure that you match your finding with the previous one. That's what the importance of the literature, right? So you can go back your literature, okay, actually how your finding actually fit with the previous literature. It's not only the fit, but you need to find the similarity or the contradiction. If you confirm with the previous finding, okay, maybe because the condition is same, but the best thing is that, again, we're talking about the academic research, all right? If it's different, why? That will be your contribution. If previous hypothesis is accepted, but in your research, in the context of your research, it is rejected. So you need to read back the paper that accepted the hypothesis, what it make a difference with your paper, then it is your findings. Maybe last time they do not cover certain area. Maybe last time they cover a different sample, but yourself, you cover a different sample. So now it's a new discovery that you can put in your paper. This is normally that why our paper will be accepted in the high impact journal, because it's come up with a new contribution, it come up with new findings. All right. And then, all right. So when you have come up with the findings, all right. So how this kind of the finding will impact to a certain area of your field or research. For example, we're talking about the policy recommendation for the specific group. Right? In a business, for example, maybe last time people study about the staff but your paper you study about the directors. Okay, so maybe there are some recommendation that the government or the regulatory body can put on the directors. Last time, for example, in my area, the fraud is something that rising right now. Last time is talking about the normal staff that commit the fraud, but right now it's the directors itself to commit the fraud. So meaning that maybe you come up with the recommendation there is a law that will specifically cover the fraud for the director. This is some example. Okay, actually how your research finding can contribute with the some of the laws, rules, and regulations, especially about the policy recommendation. Okay. The one thing that reviewer don't like is that the tone of your writing. Meaning that if you can read the last bullet point, you get something that new or the new findings, and you are so excited, and you inflate, you extrapolate, you make it that okay, I can confirm that this is the finding. No, you cannot do that. That's why in research we always like to use word possibly. Okay, there is a possibly that blah blah blah. There is possibly that blah blah. Okay, you cannot say that okay because I got this finding in Indonesia, so everybody in this world also will get the same finding. No, it is not. Right? Maybe that kind of finding is maybe applicable in Indonesia only, or in your different field or in your industry only, but the other industry, the other country may have a different finding. Because so do not give a very strong statement, right? So just make it tone down. So possibly it is happen in Indonesia because maybe of the culture, maybe because of the something that unique about Indonesia, then you get the finding as compared to the other country. Okay, and then maybe the easiest part is the conclusion. Okay, so what you can write in the conclusion is that you repeat back, you summarize back, right? What you have written, especially from the research method and also in the findings. All right, but do not come up with a new issue in the conclusion. So meaning that your work is done. Okay, you have completed a part of the research. The new issue will be tested in the new research. Okay, do not briefly or say that discuss so much on the new findings. Okay, give the theoretical and the practical implication. Okay, and then don't forget to put the limitation of your research. Okay, same thing like I said before this, right? Do not give a very strong statement because there is may some limitation of the research. But maybe you cannot cover a lot of sample. Your sample is small. Maybe some of the area you do not cover. Okay, what are the some assumptions? Okay, and then maybe you can recommend for the future researcher or for the future research. Okay, they may want to overcome this kind of limitation and become a new potential area to be explored. Right. So this is how we recommend to the reader to provide, okay, or to come up with the research in the future. Okay. You also need to put the contribution in your paper. Okay. There's different thought when you can write the contribution. Some people say that in the introduction. Some people say that in the conclusion. But it's still fine. Okay. Make sure that you emphasize the gap. Then because of that, you write the contribution. Your contribution will be substantial enough and must be specific and precise. Like I said before, right? Your contribution in terms of literature, the theory, okay, and then in terms of the practitioner. So what kind of the profession that we impacted with your findings, and then in terms of the policy. And for the social sciences and business, normally we need to have three. This kind of thing that I believe that for the software engineering like you, it may no different so much in terms of the contribution. Okay, and then the last one is the references. Okay, don't forget that references also is quite important in your manuscript. Okay, if I become a reviewer, okay, one thing that I look for the references of the researcher is that make sure that it cite the latest one. For example, we are already end of the 2021, right? So make sure that I want to make sure that at least there is a 4 or 5 references from year 2021. Okay, and then don't write too many references, right? There is no rule of thumb, but sometimes people say that maybe 30 or 50 references is good enough. It should a combine of the latest one and so the landmark study. Okay, those just write necessarily. There is one issue about the self-citation, right? Because of the people talking about impact factor, right? People are now not counting only the number of the publication, but people also counting about the impact factor. Impact factor meaning that people cite your paper. Okay, people saw your paper, meaning that you have a meaningful contribution. Rather than you publish 10 paper, but nobody cite, it's better you come up with 1 paper, but 10 people cite your paper. But the problem is that, okay, when nobody want to cite your paper, and then you cite yourself, okay, actually it's not wrong to cite your own work, the previous journal, as long as it contain in the same field and you do not over-citing, meaning that you cite 10 papers of your previous papers in your current papers. It doesn't look good. Okay, it doesn't look good from the eyes of the readers. Okay, right? And then make sure that you follow all the formatting. Okay, the APA, the Harvard, Chicago, and everything that based on the general requirement. Okay, and then all right. One tip, I'm not sure whether this is correct or not, but I experienced it. Okay, if you want to target a certain journal, you have to know who are the chief editor, the managing editor. If that managing editor or chief editor is in the same area of you, you need to cite their paper, right? You need to cite the paper. It's sort of like you try to please them, okay, by your citing their paper, right? So there is a higher chances that your paper will be accepted if you cite the paper of the chief editor or the managing editor that is responsible of the journal you want to submit. And also, let's say that if you want to submit to a certain journal, you will also need to cite that journal. Let's say that when you want to submit to journal A, right, make sure that you cite 1 or 2 papers from the journal A, right? So meaning that your paper is moving in the right direction of the journal. Okay, after you hardly prepare the manuscript, now is a time for you to submit. Okay, very exciting. Okay, but make sure that, like I said before, the scope is very important. Okay, so how you want to know the scope? Simple. You go to the journal, you read a few papers from the journal. If the paper of the journal, okay, talking a little bit about the same area of review, so mean that the scope is correct. Okay, other than you read the scope from the paper, all right, the introduction about the journal, okay, you can select, and meaning that the scope is in the same. Okay, now it's about the focus or non-focus area. Okay, this one is especially is that normally for the more focused journal, it's hard to accept it because their impact factor is very high. If let's say that they concentrate only in the one industry, so meaning that other industry will not be accepted. So maybe you want to go submit to more general kind of journal, okay, but it still cover your area. Okay. For the novice researcher, maybe you can start with your own country. Like for the Malaysia, we submit for the Malaysia. For Indonesia, you can start with the journal in Indonesia. But after you got more experience, then you can select. Okay. Of course, the hardest one is like the journal that origin from the US, because that country is a very big country. The issue is very advanced. So normally, if you don't have any issue that at par with in the US, they are very hard to accept your paper. Me myself, very hard to be accepted in the US based of journal. But in the UK, because Malaysia is from the British parliamentary system, so we are more comfortable in the UK. So we can quite okay to be accepted in the UK, especially we talk about the economic system. Okay, and then about the English not English speaking countries, okay, and then you can use the journal finder and then write a good cover letter to accommodate or to submit the article. Okay, so this is some of example. All right, you just can simply write your paper title here and then put the abstract, the keywords, everything, and then the LCB will recommend what kind of journal that you can publish. Okay, there are many of the good publishers, they already have this kind of features, yeah, or we call as assistance lah, assistance. Yeah. Wiley is the same things. You put the manuscript title, you put the abstract, and then later they will come up with the what type of journal that you should submit to Wiley. Okay, the Springer also, you can Google the rest of the publisher. Okay, the Emeralds. Okay, the cover letter. Okay, the cover letter. This one actually is a compulsory. You have the cover letter. You put the detail of the article. Okay, especially you mention the aim and scope of the journal. Again, what is the contribution of the paper, your paper, to the journal? Okay, and make sure that you have to confirm with the editor that you only submit to their journal. This is an issue of ethics. This is an issue of ethics. When you submit your paper to journal, make sure that you submit to only one journal. You do not perform multiple submission, meaning that one paper you submit to 3 or 4 journal. It is unethical. If you get caught, they will blacklist you. It is a stern warning because, of course, people do not want you to become unethical by submitting too many journal at one time. Okay, right? And certain journal, they want you to propose a few reviewers. Okay, right? So there is a pro and cons with this kind of journal. You may propose the reviewers, but it's up to the journal whether want to accept the proposed reviewer by you or not. Okay, sometimes they just want to do whether you know the people, the expert in the field. That's why they want you to propose the reviewers, right? How much time I have, Mr. Bahawan?
Okay, we are 3 more minutes left.
Oh, three more minutes. Okay, right. So and then after that, okay, your manuscript will be under review. So the first hurdle is that the outright rejection, or we call it as a desk review. If you're able to pass the initial screening in the journal, then they will pass to the reviewer. Okay, it's not simply that you submit and they will pass the reviewer. No, because they want to save the time of the reviewer. Okay, especially normally the chief editor will look at the scope and the quality of the paper. Okay, they will screen, initial screening. Okay, the content a little bit. Okay, if there's fit that it is fit to their journal, and it will pass to the reviewer. Okay. So normally they say, so how long you should wait? For me, myself, I wait for the 3 months. So for the 3 months. Okay, after 3 months, no answer, I will write a short message asking about the status of the paper. And then after that, it's 6 months. If still no answer, you have an every right to withdraw the paper from your, from the submission of the journal. Normally, a good journal, you can get the turnaround process about 2 months, the 60-day 2 months. You should able to get the answer. Right, the decision. So when you get the decision, right, after you submit, let's say that after 2 months you get the decision. So the decision can be, the first one is outright rejection. If not being rejected, you may either you get a minor revision or major revision. Normally minor revision, you need to come up with a resubmission for 1 or 2 months. For the major one, it's about 3 or 6 months. Okay, what make a difference with the minor and major? Normally major, because you have a fundamental error in your research. Maybe, for example, the sample is wrong, the method is wrong, you need to re-perform your methods. Maybe your statistic is wrong, so you need to re-perform your statistic. Minor, normally, maybe a little bit about the grammatical error, maybe the literature view is not sufficient. Okay, but it doesn't require you to re-perform your research. Okay. The hard one when you want to revise the paper is that if you got a conflicting review, let's say that you got from 2 reviewers, okay, one asks you to revamp your method, the other one say that it is okay and it is good. So that kind of thing you need to think. Okay, then you take a balanced approach. Okay, how you want to try to please and answer both of the reviewers, and then make sure that you have to address the comment from the reviewers line by line. You answer all of their queries. Okay, so it's just example of the response. Yeah, I mean that the typical one from the Emerald. Okay, we're talking about the originality, the relationship with the literature, the methods, the result, the implication, and the quality of communication. Normally, the hard one is a 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then after that you resubmit. Something that you have to remember that if you got a minor revision doesn't mean that after you resubmit your paper it will be accepted. No, it's not necessary. Maybe after that, okay, you still need to undergo a several revision. My experience last time, I got seven times. One of my paper, I got to review 7 times before it is accepted in Scopus. It is normal, okay. No regret. And then after that, you can get the final result, whether your paper will be accepted or rejected. If it's accepted, it's okay. It's yay day for you, kan? Especially if you submit in the Scopus in the back of science. Some paper ask you to pay certain fees. Okay, if you got funding, it's okay for you. If you don't get a funding, maybe you can try to ask from the management to subsidize part of the fees. And then some of the proof correction, especially the name and the affiliation of your university, and then sharing with others, and then make sure that after that, don't forget to disseminate your paper to your friends. Okay, and then according to the intellectual property rights. Okay, and then the last one is the part one. The hardest one is the how to deal with the rejection, right? So normally, what I did if I get rejected is that I revisit back all the comment for the reviewers. Okay, right? Try to improvise my paper when I can, because some of the maybe some of the comment they ask me to come up with the new sample, so which is impossible because research already done. Then after you improvise the paper based on the rejected comments, and then you resubmit to the other journal, right? Don't simply just take your paper and then you resubmit to the other paper. That one is gamble. Maybe you can keep on being rejected by the journal, right? All right, I think that's all for my presentation. The next one is just an extra and bonus for the audience of the student. You can go by your own all my slide after this one. Mr. Bahawan, is it okay?
Okay, thank you.
Right. So I stop sharing, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Ahmad Ahmad Saiful. It's very wonderful, insightful presentation. It's very comprehensive. So before we're going to start to follow the next question and answer, I greatly welcome to invite you all, the audiences, to actively participate to the question and answer by dropping your answer, dropping your questions into the drop chat or to the provided link. Okay. Before we're going to head into the next session, I will like giving some brief or summary. We've been talking by Prof. Ahmad Saiful. First one is about step required to publish a journal of conferences and proceedings. So Prof. Ahmad Saiful already mentioning what's differences between journal and conference proceeding, because it's my related with the student from PhD and so the master, because one of the requirement to graduate in postgraduate program in ITS, you at least once publication. Yeah, so that's why that would be journal and conferences proceeding. Yeah, in terms of there will be strength and weakness and also the constraint itself. You have to choose which one is more relative in terms of times. Yeah, for example, and followed by which the good academic papers is all about, it's been mentioning, and also about the element of the journal, specifically for the abstract, introduction, literature review, methods, finding, and conclusions, which require different steps and also require a different requirement of each element. So you we have to consider about the point that been mentioning by Prof. Ahmad Saiful. And two last portions will be choosing suitable journal for publication. So yes, I truly agree, because taking the scoping of the journal is also very important. And also might be rejected, not only the reason of rejected journals from the publisher is might be not of your failure, might be simply the scope is out of the topics of the journal itself. Okay, and now the last part is preparing the revision, how we handle the revision, either major or minor, and that will be series or sequences of the revision, maybe come up with 2 or 3, and also how to deal with the rejection. That's very comprehensive presentation today. And I would like to invite all of you by giving your questions, or feel free, as mentioning by Prof. Ahmad Saiful, this is sharing. If you have any other thoughts or any your perspective or your experience regarding the getting published, feel free to share with all of us. And also, if you have any questions, might be not be still need to be further discussion, feel free by giving your raise hand or drop your chat. Okay, about 15 up to 20 minutes we have discussion. Okay, all the audiences, feel free give the questions. Okay, while we waiting for the questions, Prof. Ahmad Saiful, you mentioning about the I remember exactly, I giving some notes, making some notes that the theory explaining the phenomena, not the phenomena explain the theory. But however, and also the lectures in the business management somehow is quite qualitative and so quantitative. We have to be balancing. Okay, what do you think about the phenomena explaining the theory? Because of the confirmatory test, confirmatory and exploratory, that would be 2 types, confirmatory test and also confirmatory research and explanatory research. How would you handle this one? Because in several social science, that would be qualitative, in-depth interview or giving some forum group discussions, exploring the phenomena and not refer to certain theory. What do you think, Prof. Ahmad Saiful?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bahawan. Okay,
yeah.
What I said before is something that is very typical for the novice researcher, right? Meaning that because we just starting, we just replicate research from the other people, so we just follow step by step, right? But when you go further, for example, that when you do the PhD, okay, and when you want to perform a very big research project, right? Like 1 million, 2 million, that is where we try to find the new things that is a very substantial, in which that the theory may not relevant anymore with the current situation, with the current condition. Okay, so in this situation, it may, when you can say that it's the other way around, meaning that the phenomena explain the theory.
Okay,
the theory is not wrong. The theory is not wrong. Okay, maybe we're talking about the theory that has been constructed 30 years ago. Okay, when that time there is no IT, there is no pandemic crisis. But right now, okay, the theory has been evolved. Okay, I don't like to say that we reject the theory, right? Because I think we need to appreciate the people of the past. Okay, the theory has been evolved. Especially we're talking about the software engineer, we're talking about for information technologies, right? The information technology. There are so many theory, they come out in different things, and then they combine the theory. For example, if you remember, if you know, there is a UT80 theory, right? That last time we have the theory acceptance model, and the theory plan behavior. So all the kind of this kind of a lemma theory, okay, moving forward, okay, because of the changes and dynamic in the environment, okay, some people combine the theory. Okay, we come up with the theory. Some people, they improvise the theory. They come out that, okay, this theory is not complete. We need to add another, what is called the characteristic variables and so forth, right? So this kind of the phenomena actually is when you have a very broad and very large sample. Of course, you cannot perform something that very country specific. When one industry specific, maybe you get about 10,000, 20,000 samples across the country. And if you remember, if know the Hofstede theory, they come out the people with the different country, okay, the power mass community kind of things. Okay, it's so huge, it's so big, okay, and then you can get something that different what has been explained by theory so many years ago. Okay, because now human is different, especially with talking about the pandemic. Pandemic, of course, changes our life 360-degree way of we doing a life. Okay, all many of the textbook need to be rewritten right now, because and then of course in my university we have to change all our syllabus because it's not relevant anymore. Okay, we're talking about the when people go out, the hybrid office, the hybrid solution we stay. We are not anymore living in the fully F2F. They're not, it's a hybrid F2F plus the online kind of thing. So because of when the different in the phenomena, the substantial different, then like I said before, when you go to the higher levels, so meaning that yes, the phenomena can explain the theory, then people will come up with a new theory. And maybe the theory will stay about 10 or 20 years. We don't know what gonna happen in the next 30 years. Maybe there's something different, something that will pump our life, and then the theory will be changes again and evolve again. Yeah,
that's why science is always dynamic. It's always be changing, because it might be unpredictable. So maybe in the future can be changed depend on the situation itself. Okay, wow. And then more questions coming to me and related to the tips and how to select the journal and how to deal with the journal. Okay, very interesting question coming from I believe Mr. Doni Putra Purbawa from ITS. That come up 2 questions. Do you think the ranking of the journal is important? For the example, Q1 or to Q2 or Q6, mentioning the impact factor. What do you think, Prof. Ahmad Saiful? Selecting ranking, the ranking, is that represent the is that really represent the quality of the journal itself?
Okay, right. Of course, yes, of course, correct, Mr. Bahawana. The ranking actually represent the quality of the paper. Of course, the Q1 is the hardest one. It's very hard to get there. Okay, some of the Q2, Q3, and Q4. Why Q1? Why ranking is important? Especially if you are a researcher, if you want to become a professor. Now, certain universities, even in Malaysia, they want you to publish in Q1 and Q2. Q1 and Q2, because it is endorsement of the quality. When you publish in Q1 and Q2, meaning that you are a par not only about the player in your country, but also player globally, meaning that your academic works has been endorsed by people all around the world. This is the first one. The second one is because of the ranking of the university. Okay, the higher number of the paper that you are able to publish in Q1 and Q2, not only you but all your peers, all your colleagues, will push your university ranking higher. Okay, because of course, when we're talking about the citation, people will prefer to cite paper from Q1 and Q2 first. Okay, and then the third one, okay, of course, for the monetary benefits, we're talking about the rewards of publishing in Q1 and Q2 will be much higher than the Q3 and Q4. In my university, they will give about 5,000 if you're able to publish in Q1, which is, if let's say that if you can come up with the 10 paper in Q1, you already get about 50,000. It's more or 2 or 3 months of your salary in Malaysia if you are able to publish in the Q1 and Q2. But for the self-reward, for the future of the benefit of your academic life, please strive to publish in the higher ranking first. Right?
All right. So that means Q1 and Q2 might be the most hunted one by the academic day. So it's very important, yeah, to present the quality and also the engagement with international academician. Okay, the next question still with from Mr. Doni Putra Purbawa. Do you think suggested reviewers from us will add positive points to be accepted? Yeah, by selecting or referral reviewers from us, yeah, because if we want to submit our manuscript, fill the form, and we are required to put a certain reviewer. Okay, do you think, yeah, it's suggested reviewer from us will add positive points to be accepted?
Actually, it depends. Okay, actually it depends, right? Actually it depends. It can go two ways lah. It can go two ways. I would say it can go two ways, right? If you suggested high rank reviewers, right? High rank reviewers, especially from the US. If they select the reviewers and then you are done.
Okay.
You are done, right? Because you suggested the professor, a very good professor, eminent professor from the US, and then they select the professor, and then maybe the professor can see so many things lacking in your paper, so they just reject the paper, right? Okay, so first thing. Second thing is that sometimes if you suggested the reviewers or the journal ask for reviewers because they want to expand the database. Okay, you know how they select the reviewers actually. It's based on the keywords. Yeah, based on the keywords. When you submit to the journal, the public, good publisher like Sage, Emerald, and Rating, you need to put the keywords, right? The keywords, the automatic keywords. So the keywords, when you register for the first time to submit the paper, you have to develop the profile. And from the profile, they will ask your expertise based on the keywords. So actually, that is how the chief editor will match the reviewer in the database. Let's say that text, right? Text. Okay, I want to submit the paper on text. Okay, Mr. Bahawan, you also the expert in the text. Okay, but I do not know you. That is how the system will match my paper with the potential reviewer.
Okay.
Okay, right. But other than that, okay, if the database unable to match the reviewers, and then they will select the reviewers that are recommended by you.
Okay.
Yeah. Certain database, certain publisher like in the science, they are compulsory. You need to come up with 4 reviewers. Four. Can you see 4? 4 reviewers. At least 2 local and 2 international. You cannot come up with the 4 locals, they will reject. You need to come up with the 4 locals and 4 internationals. Then you will expand. They want to put the name in the database, because you have to understand that for the high impact paper, normally in 1 month they receive about 400 to 500 submission of the papers. So it's very hard to find the reviewers right now. Frankly speaking, I only accept job as a reviewer only in the early of the year because of to meet my KPI. Normally I accept about 4 or 5, but after that, middle of the year, end of the year, I reject the appointment. And I'm not saying that I'm not an expert, because if you say you're not an expert, they will blacklist you. I just say that I'm unavailable right now to be appointed as a reviewer, because it's not easy, because you need to read line by line. Okay, need to come up with the honest review, and then actually it's very taxing. Okay, one paper normally plus minus it take about 1 month, 2 months for me to complete the review. So it's not easy, and so many people, because of the busyness as academy, they just reject the appointment. Right.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Ahmad Saiful, for the answer and from the response. Next questions. Coming from Muhammad Aminuddin from IPS, either what are the right and the easy ways to determine the focuses of the qualitative research? What are the right and easy ways to determine the focus of the quality research?
The focus of the quality research.
Yeah.
Okay, the focus of the quality research. Okay. Okay, this state is given to me by my professors, right?
Sorry, Prof. Ahmad Saiful, is about how to determine the focus of qualitative. Yeah, as I asked before.
Qualitative research.
Yeah, mostly might be not be related with the statistical approach or maybe how to robust data, but in several qualitative research, how they determine the quality and also the focuses, yeah, of the qualitative research.
Okay, let I say like this. Before you do a research, okay, let's say that you want to apply for the grant for the research, or before you embark with the, let's say, the postgraduate study or the PhD study, all right, I can say you can have an informal step before. It is you try to survey and you ask the people in the ground, in the field, actually, what is the problem, okay, in your field. Okay, let's say, like for example, right now we're talking about the pandemic, right? The pandemic. Okay, actually people are using the, let's say that the technology, right? Let's say that they want to apply something, apply for the loan or for the assistance. But the problem is that not many people are IT literate. There are still some people that not IT literate. So because of some of the information does not reach this kind of people. So before you embark this kind of the qualitative research, okay, right? You go to the field, you have what we so-called the pre-qualitative research, pre-interview. You, like me and Mr. Bahawa, we just have a chit chat. We're talking about okay, what is the problem? What is the problem? What is the how we can help you, okay, to solve your problem. Maybe about 4 or 5 people, okay, in your team, and then after that, and then you know, and then you can show that this is a problem in the field. This is a problem in the field because why? Before you want to go for the more systematic and select the right respondent, you already go to the field and ask people what is the current issue on or the current problem in your field or the research, right? Other than maybe you can read the newspaper. Okay, you read newspaper because newspaper if come up with all the our local daily issues, and then with the professional magazine, okay, and so you can read about that, okay. So meaning that you do not enter the research blindly, right? Maybe you say that okay, this is a problem actually, but when you go to the field, no, there is not a problem. Maybe that one is only the symptom. The problem is different. And the problem is different. Maybe you say that the problem is the illiteracy of the IT, but maybe the problem is not the illiteracy, but maybe because of the selective what we so call the selective assistant, the selective information, or people because the standard of quality is not there. Maybe after you interview certain people informally, then you can know actually this is actually the problem. This is the right way how we do the qualitative research.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So that's also answering the question from the Mr. Muhammad Aminuddin. So basically that would be preliminary study to determine the for example, that would be I remember exactly when we are running the qualitative and also the quantitative. The quantitative that would be adequacy test for determining minimum of data. However, in the qualitative, that would be different. We have the saturated point to determine whether the respondent is enough or not. We might continue and we might stop the respondent itself. So okay, refer to the last question from Mr. Ahmad Muhammad Aminuddin. What's the chance of being published between qualitative research and quantitative research? Which one is the most publishable, in terms of the quality itself? So that would be qualitative or quantitative, Prof. Ahmad Saiful.
The chances, okay, let I say like this, okay, all right. The first thing is that what is your strength? Is it the qualitative or quantitative? You're very good in writing, okay, your English is very well, right? and you love to write so much, qualitative is better. Qualitative is better.
Okay.
If you are very good in statistics and then quantitative, right? That's the first one. Okay, because I can foresee that this person, he may very interested in the qualitative, right? Okay. The hardest part of the qualitative actually is the interpretation. Okay, the interpretation, because when you interview people, okay, you actually need to really understand what is the findings. That's what, let's say that if you well versed with the some of the software like NVivo or Clarity, okay, then what is just only a tool for you to let to break out the point and also all the unrelevant details. Maybe this person talking about A, but actually the problem is B. So you must have that kind of skill in which that you're able to separate which one actually is the findings, the root cause with the unnecessary details. Because you have to remember that when you interview people, you just not simply saying that, okay, please answer this question. No, you start with the chit chat, with all the informal things. Okay, you want to digest, and then maybe one interview will last about 1 hour, 2 hours, right? Yeah. So can you imagine that how you want to separate the details in that kind 1 hour of interview? Okay. First, you separate it, and then after that, you need to rearrange back. Okay, which one actually is the top one, and the second one, the top tier. That's why the NVivo will help you so much in you rearrange the point. But at the end of the day, is you yourself need to interpret all this kind of theme, or all this kind of what to call the narrative one. Okay, qualitative is, I don't know, but some people is so boring. You know, it's so boring because it's so qualitative. It's so qualitative. Okay, and then when you write, you must have what is so called the quoting one, the quoting as an evidence of your perform the qualitative research, and that one actually must be rightly coded. You cannot overcode, you cannot undercode. Okay, okay, and then you have to master the interview protocol, because if you do not master the interview protocol, your writing may be, sorry, not your writing, your interview may be wrong. You're asking wrong questions. Maybe the answer is biased. And then, you know that actually is whether you perform the qualitative or quantitative, it have its own advantage and disadvantage. Okay. But believe me, it is rare and it's hard to find the people that are very expert in the qualitative research.
Okay.
If the person that asked this question, if you really want to become an expert for the qualitative research, go for it, because it's very hard to find people that are very good in the qualitative research. And then because of that, when talking about the number of journals, 1,000 of journals in the world, I will say that only 10% that really highly specialized in the qualitative research.
Okay, so
the other many of things are on the quantitative research.
Okay, 10% of being published. Okay, right. Okay. So that's been somehow of the coming from the social science, specifically from the business management department. So my student also, I encourage to write the qualitative research, but again the concern also the times you have to rerun. Maybe require more than a year or at least a year to run the be good qualitative research. So that's why it's quite. In terms of number, it's quite fewer than quantitative. Okay,
if you don't believe me, try to survey in the Institute of Technology September. Try to count how many academician or doctorate that we need to supervise people that with 100% qualitative research. Okay, you can count with your finger on it.
Okay, Dr. Ahmad Saiful. Okay, maybe the last questions. Is there any question coming from the audiences itself? I greatly welcome, because we have 2 minutes left. So maybe one question for me, Prof. Ahmad Saiful, to end up the questions, to end up the question and portion. Does the length of the or lead time being published as representing the quality of the journal? Does the times of being review and up to the published represent the quality of the journal? For example, the longer the times being reviewed, the higher quality itself. Did you get the point?
It does not. It's not kind of in terms of the lag time of the from the day of your submission to the up to the publication. Okay. Actually, it's the most important thing is the process is a systematic.
Okay.
That like I said before, normally if they hard to find a reviewer, and then the time will be longer because they want to match for the expert in the field. Okay. Some journal they have more very strict process. Okay, let's say that if they want to have, let's say, the 4 reviewers to review the paper, maybe at least they need to have 2 or 3. Okay, some of the journal, maybe if they are not strict enough, maybe 1 reviewer is good enough to review paper. And if you get that kind of thing, actually is you are so lucky because you only to entertain with the 1 reviewer. Okay, right? Okay, and then actually if you are unable to get the response for the some period of time, normally they do not have the expert in the field that willing to review your paper. Okay. All right. When we're talking about the time period, normally if you got a very fast turnaround, meaning that the journal is good. We're talking about the well-known publisher, well-known publisher. But however, there are also some occasion in which that you can get a very fast response, 3 days, 10 days, and they accept your paper. You need to avoid that kind of journal. This kind of journal that I say at the beginning of my presentation is a predatory journal because they just only want your money.
Yep.
They not even review your paper. Believe me, they don't even review your paper. Okay, right? You submit, and then they say that congratulations, your paper has been accepted, but there is no suggestion how to improvise your paper. That means that your paper already accepted as it is. That's why it's dangerous. And then they ask you for some kind of fees now, 100 USD, 500 USD. Even there is some journal that ask you for the 1,000 USD. There is a fast publication. You need to avoid that. You really need to avoid that. Okay. Can you imagine that you have hardly performed your research, but at the end of the day, you perform, you publish in the kind of way, so-called the rubbish, the rubbish journal, and then actually it's a waste of your time.
Okay. All right. So we reach out for the end of the sessions. Thank you so much, Prof. Ahmad Saiful. It's a very lively discussion with you, and also may the ilmu and knowledge that you have been sharing with us have been granted to Allah. Thank you so much, and I will give it back again to the Master of Ceremony, Ibu Dewi Sartika. The time is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for Associate Professor Ahmad Saiful Azlin Putesalin for the inspiring lecture today, and thank you, Mr. Rian, for conducting this amazing session. Let's give applause to our inspiring speaker and amazing moderator by using the Zoom action feature for today's empowering session. As a token of appreciation, I would like to present a certificate. To our honorable speaker and moderator. So this is the certificate for Associate Professor Ahmad Saiful Azlin Putesalin. As our gratitude for today's session, thank you very much, Associate Professor, for your availability today in providing lecture session on getting published.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
And then for the next certificate will be presented for Mr. Bahalwan Apriyansyah, MBA, for being our moderator today.
Terima kasih banyak-banyak, matur suwun.
Terima kasih. Now, before we part, I would like to inform you that we still have future agenda on RSEP for soft engineering stream, which will be conducted on 2nd December 2021 with the speaker Dr. Ratnasari Dewi from ITS. So you can see here in the poster we are showing you right now, and you can check it out on ITS Global Engagement website. Before we end our session, I would like to invite all participants to open their camera. Let me remove all the spotlight. Okay. Okay, so you know what to do? I would like to invite you all participants along with speaker and moderator to take a group photo. To all participants, please turn on your camera and we will stop sharing now. And I will make a countdown. I want you to make your best smile. Okay? Okay. There are 7 slides, so bear with me. I will make a countdown for every slide. Okay. Okay. Put your best smile. 3, 2, 1, cheers. Okay. Another one for slide 2. Oh, hello. 3, 2, 1, cheers. Okay. Another one for slide 3. Okay. Open your camera, please. 3, 2, 1, cheers. Next one for the 4th one. 4th slide. Okay. 3, 2, 1, cheers. Okay. Another one. The 5th one. 3, 2, 1, cheers. 6. 3, 2, 1, cheers. 7. Last one. 3, 2, 1, cheers. Okay, that's nice. Okay, now that we have finished the group photo, I would like to remind all of you to fill the feedback form provided in the Zoom chat room. The participant who will get stamp for it, it is the participant who comes on time during the event until the end and also fill the feedback form. Finally, we have reached the end of today's R2SEP, and we sincerely apologize for any inconvenience during this session from me as the Master of Ceremony and from the committee. We will see you again on the upcoming session. Once again, thank you everyone for joining the session. Thank you the speaker and the moderator for the inspiring session. Good evening, stay safe and healthy. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye-bye.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Profesor Saiful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Matur suwun, Bapak.
Thank you, Miss Marhawan.
Mohon izin leave. Terima kasih.
Silakan.
Terima kasih semua. Izin, may I leave?
Kapan semua?
Yes, you can leave, Professor. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.